As a student athlete at UC Davis, it is important that you know and understand various rules and guidelines that have been defined by the NCAA, Big West Conference, and the university to ensure your eligibility for participation in intercollegiate competition. The information provided in this video will give you an overview of these rules and guidelines that all student athletes, coaches, athletics department staff, boosters, and fans need to know and abide by. This video is not a comprehensive source of information, and as such, we invite you to stop by the Compliance Services office or contact any of the compliance staff members to seek clarification on a question or issue you may have regarding eligibility, recruiting, extra benefits, prize money, amateurism and employment, outside competition, financial aid, drug testing, conduct, or booster relationships. We wish you much success this year, both in the classroom and in your sport of competition. Go Ags!
Always remember that the student comes before the athlete. So take note of these few simple rules to stay academically eligible.
Hello, student athletes. Remember, always be enrolled in 12 credits.
Pass a minimum of 6 degree units every quarter. For football student athletes, you must pass 8 degree units in the fall.
Pass at least 27 degree units combined every fall, winter, and spring.
By your sophomore year, complete a minimum of 36 units with at least a 2.0 GPA.
Declare a major by the beginning of your third year.
By the beginning of your third year, complete 40% of your degree with a minimum of the 2.0 GPA.
By the beginning of your fourth year, complete 60% of your degree with a minimum of a 2.0 GPA.
At the beginning of your fifth year, complete 80% of your degree with a minimum of a 2.0 GPA.
Please check in with your outcomes advisor if you have any questions about the NCAA's academic eligibility requirements.
College is expensive, but as a student athlete, there are resources available to you. Here are some helpful NCAA permitted sources of financial aid. Money from anyone whom you are naturally or legally dependent on. Money from the Financial Aid Office, for example, the Pell Grant, UC Grant, Cal Grant, and student loans. Money from outside community scholarships. These must be approved by the ICA Compliance Services team to ensure they meet NCAA regulations. Remember that it is never okay for you to receive money from a coach, fan, or a booster. Additionally, if you are a scholarship student athlete, you need to be aware that every year by July 1st, you will be notified if your scholarship is going to be renewed, reduced, or canceled. If you ever go part-time, you must complete a UC Davis Financial Aid Office Change in Aid form online through My Awards.
In order to help you manage your time, each team is required to provide a plan so that you will know ahead of time your schedule as a student athlete. TMPs include all accountable athletically related activities, also called CARA, and required athletically related activities, or RARA. Each quarter, ICA Compliance Services will select one student athlete to review and approve that quarter's TMP. Any changes in the TMP must be communicated to the student athletes at least 24 hours in advance. Annually, a review of the TMP will be done in person with the head coach, student athlete, FAR, and AD or their designee. Please reach out to your compliance liaison with any questions or concerns.
At Davis, student athletes excel both on and off of the playing field, and that is due to our great time management skills. To make sure you are able to balance your time efficiently, take a look at the NC2A rules regarding countable athletic-related activities, also known as CARA. Activities that count towards CARA include, but are not limited to, practice, weights, games, or meets, and required film review. When you're in season, the following rules apply. No more than 20 hours of CARA a week and no CARA hours between midnight and 5 a.m. No more than 4 hours a day.
Today is my day off because you get 1 day off per week.
There are some exceptions like travel to Hawaii.
We are UC Davis Swim and Dive, and we approve this message.
When you're out of season, the following rules apply.
No more than 8 hours of care a week. Of your 8 hours, a maximum of 4 hours can be individual skill instruction. For football, 2 hours of film review or walkthroughs. You must have 2 days off per week. No care or RARA during vacation periods. Remember the following also apply to CARA. Required weight room workouts count towards your hours. No matter how long a competition is, it counts as 3 hours. Time spent in the training room, preparing a field or study table does not count towards your hours. When classes are not in session, the daily and weekly hour limitations to CARA do not apply if your sport is in season. Voluntary activities do not count toward your hours, and unless your sport has a safety exception, a coach may not be present. During your time as an Aggie, you will be required to review CARA logs within the ARMS system. If you have any questions or concerns at any time, please be encouraged to contact Compliance Services, our faculty athletics rep, Scott Carroll, or your SAC team representative.
RARA includes all the other activities you do as a student athlete. Examples include CARA and the compliance meetings, like the one you're attending right now. It also includes required fundraising activities, interviews with the media, and hosting PSAs. Feel free to reach out to your compliance liaison for a comprehensive list of what counts as RARA.
RARA may not occur on required days off. There are some exceptions to activities that don't count as RARA. These include things related to academics, like meeting with your advisor or study table, medical reasons, such as rehab or treatment, multi-sport student-athlete outcomes events, such as the Career Fair, Aggie Evo road trips, and SAC meetings and events. As Aggies, we know you're popular. However, you are not allowed to participate with another team during the academic year. Playing a weekend tournament with a previous club team could be an NCAA violation. There are always exceptions, however, so go directly to the ICA Compliance Services office for further clarification before participating. General exceptions to the outside competition rule are during vacation periods when your team is not in season, participation on the U.S. national team or state games, you are permitted to compete in one high school alumni game per year. In sports other than basketball, this game must take place during an official vacation period. If you plan on participating in outside competition, please fill out the outside competition declaration form in ARMS prior to participating with an outside team or in an outside event. Impermissible outside competition can have significant impacts on your eligibility, so please make sure you communicate with your compliance liaison prior to participating. Everyone loves free stuff. As a benefit for participation in your sport, each student athlete is eligible to receive 4 free tickets for the sport that they compete in. These free tickets are known as complimentary admissions. The following rules will help you know how to use these tickets. For teams with ticketing, you will be required to submit your 4 guests' names online through ARMS prior to each event. Individuals using your complimentary admissions must present a photo ID at the ticket gate. You are not permitted to accept money, gifts, or other benefits in exchange for your complimentary admissions. You may not designate other individuals like a friend, parent, or guardian to receive money, gifts, or benefits on your behalf for your complimentary admissions. With your student ID, you can get into all sporting events for free.
We know Davis is great, but if you ever consider transferring, please be aware of the following. You need to submit in ARMS a declaration of intent to transfer form before you can start to be recruited again by NCAA institutions. Fall and winter sports student athletes must be in the transfer portal by May 1st in order to compete right away at the next school. Spring sports student athletes must be in the transfer portal by July 1st in order to compete right away at the next school. It's extremely important that you are in the transfer portal prior to having any conversations with coaches from other NCAA schools. Any direct or indirect communication with other coaches before you're in the transfer portal is considered tampering and can carry significant consequences on your eligibility to compete at your new school. Always visit the compliance team if you have any questions about transferring.
Whew, I sure am glad I got this summer job. I really needed this extra money. Oh, well, we have some very talented student athletes at UC Davis. If you decide to take your talents to the workplace over the summer or the academic year, please remember these key points to make sure you do not risk your eligibility, or you'll be scooping poop full time. You can only be paid for the work that you actually perform. You may only get compensated at the going rate of the pay for the area.
Please make sure the compliance office is aware of any jobs you may be working by completing the student-athlete employment forms on ARMS. Sometimes this employment includes providing private lessons, which are also known as fee for lessons by the NCAA. You'll need to remember the following rules and also notify the ICA Compliance Services Office before you give any lessons.
UC Davis facilities cannot be used. You cannot simply play against the lesson recipient. You have to actually teach a skill or provide instruction. You must have prior approval from the ICA Compliance Service Office and submit the fee for lesson form on ARMS. Your compensation must be paid by the lesson recipient or the recipient's family and not by another individual or entity.
Throughout your career here at UC Davis, you may be subject to unannounced and random drug testing at any time. For these drug tests, remember the following points. A positive test for a banned drug other than a street drug will make you ineligible for 365 calendar days, and you will lose 1 year of eligibility. A student athlete who tests positive for a street drug will be withheld for 50% of a season in all sports, regular season contests, or dates of competition. If you don't show up for a test, it will be counted as a positive. If you are tested by a national or international athletics organization and test positive, you are required to notify the athletic director and ICA Compliance Services Office.
Even before you became a D1 student athlete, there were rules to follow. If any of the following happened during your recruitment by UC Davis, you need to visit with the ICA Compliance Services team.
Anybody provided you or your family with impermissible financial aid or benefits. This could be in the form of money, services, or other tangible items. Anybody other than an actual UC Davis coach recruited you to become an Aggie. For example, a booster or fan brought you to campus to recruit you to be an Aggie. You received more than 5 official visits during your high school senior year or after October 15th following your high school graduation.
At some point, your coach might ask you to be a student-athlete host for an official visit. It's your responsibility to follow both NCAA and Davis procedures when hosting prospective student-athletes, also known as PSAs. A student-athlete host may not
provide alcohol, drugs, or adult entertainment of any kind to PSA. Take recruits to any drinking or gambling establishments. This includes any house parties. Use a vehicle provided by a coach or booster. Take the PSA or their family more than 30 miles from Davis campus. Allow conversations to occur between a PSA and a booster. The entertainment funds provided to you by the coach must entertain you as the host, the PSA, and the PSA's relatives. The NCAA allows for you to receive $40 per day to entertain a PSA, their parents, and yourself. If you host additional PSAs, It's up to $20 per day per PSA.
NCAA rules prohibit student athletes from receiving any extra benefits. These rules also regulate your interaction with donors or boosters to the athletic department. Remember these definitions and rules in order to stay eligible and to properly interact with boosters. A booster is anyone who makes donations to the athletic department, who provides benefits to prospective student athletes or current student athletes, or who generally promotes UC Davis athletics. There are limitations to the interaction you can have with boosters. Please reach out to your compliance liaison with any questions or concerns related to boosters.
You cannot accept an extra benefit from a booster or an institutional staff member. Some examples include, but are not limited to,
use of a car, gifts, cash, loans, free services, and free tickets for any kind of entertainment. Free or reduced merchandise from a store or restaurant unless it is available to the general public.
Free or reduced room and or board or utilities from a booster. This includes in Davis, your home city, or any other location. Members of the athletic department staff, including tutors, may not type or write papers or take your exams for you.
a permissible extra benefit is an occasional meal. Athletic department staff members, including coaches, may take you to a restaurant or their home. A booster may have you in their home for a meal or host a meal on the Davis campus. They may also provide transportation for you from your residence to their home and back to your residence.
Come on, come on, come on. Oh man! Dang it! Sure, gambling is fun, but not as fun as being a Division I student athlete. Don't risk your amateurism by gambling on collegiate, amateur, or professional sports.
As a Davis student athlete, you cannot provide information to individuals placing bets that may or may not influence the outcome of a game. For example, providing information on any team injuries. You cannot solicit a bet on any amateur, intercollegiate team, or professional team. You cannot accept a bet on any team. Remember, entry fee plus prize equals violation. You cannot participate in any gambling activity that involves intercollegiate athletics.
Review these points, and Aggies, don't bet on it.
If there is a violation involving gambling with UC Davis, you lose all remaining eligibility in all sports. Gambling violations with any other team aside from Davis will result in losing a minimum of 1 year of eligibility. Any student athlete who engages in activity designed to influence the outcome of an intercollegiate contest, an example of this would be point shaving, will lose all remaining eligibility.
UC Davis is proud of all of our Aggies and the pros. If you want to follow in their footsteps, you need to know the following NCAA rules when dealing with agents and your amateurism status. You will lose your eligibility if you or your family members accept benefits from an agent or an agent's runner. You may not sign a contract with an agent or agree verbally to be represented by an agent in the future after your eligibility has expired. Any questions regarding agents for either NIL or athletics representation should be directed to the ICA Compliance Services team. Before you can think about the pros, remember that student athletes must keep their amateurism status during their time at Davis. You cannot use your athletic skill for pay in any form. You cannot agree to a promise of pay at a later date. If you receive impermissible prize money or awards, you may not assign it to another individual or agency.
You may accept prize money based on your place, finish, or performance in athletic events, provided the following.
Prize money may not exceed actual and necessary expenses. Prize money may be provided only by the sponsor of the event. The calculation of actual and necessary expenses may not include the expenses or fees of anyone other than you. For example, coach fees or expenses or parents' expenses.
Please reach out to your compliance liaison before participating in an event where you might win prize money.
Student athletes at UC Davis are expected to conduct themselves in a manner that is consistent with the university's student behavioral standards, including adherence to the UC Davis Principles of Community, University of California Policy on Student Conduct and Discipline, and the UC Davis Code of Academic Conduct. Participation in athletics at UC Davis is an extracurricular privilege, and there are additional standards of behavior and compliance that UC Davis student athletes are obligated to meet.
Study through the quarter and keep up with your work in your classes.
Review the UC Davis Code of Academic Conduct and make sure to visit your instructors if you ever need help.
Understand what constitutes as plagiarism. Thank you.
There is no tolerance for hazing at UC Davis. Hazing is any activity that humiliates or degrades or risks emotional and or physical harm, regardless of the person's willingness to participate. Student athletes who are found to be involved in hazing are subject to dismissal from their team and subject to reduction or removal of athletic aid. If you have any questions about UC Davis, Big West, or NCAA rules, please reach out to your compliance liaison for further assistance. We are here to help you.